Ciao, io sono Fabio
E io sono Cinzia.
e benvenuti in questa seconda parte del recappone della View Conference 2019. In questo episodio vedremo live action ed effetti speciali. Direi di partire subito a cannone, proprio, completamente, con Weta Digital, lo studio di visual effects più, diciamo, in vista all'interno del panorama di Hollywood. Fanno lavori veramente grandi, tra cui Endgame, per dire. E infatti proprio da questo film arriva la prima persona di cui parliamo, ovvero Sidney Kombo-Kintombo.
Che è il supervisore alle animazioni che ha lavorato sul pianeta delle scimmie, con cui ha vinto un Emmy, su Avengers Infinity War, con cui ha vinto il VES per la realizzazione di Thanos, e su Avengers Endgame, di cui ci ha parlato appunto quest'anno.
E piccola parentesi, nel caso non lo conosceste, VES, la Visual Effects Society, è una serie di premi che vengono dati agli effetti speciali realizzati nei film ed è, diciamo, l'Oscar all'interno del mondo degli effetti visivi del cinema americano.
Sì, ed è quindi un traguardo davvero molto importante.
Infatti Sidney l'ha vinto in particolare per quella che è l'animazione facciale di Thanos all'interno di Infinity War e, dobbiamo dire, meritatissimo.
Sì, perché sono riusciti a cogliere le espressioni dell'attore che ha interpretato Thanos, che sarebbe Josh Brolin, in maniera davvero accurata e hanno portato sullo schermo dei dettagli molto sottili della sua faccialità ed espressività, che hanno contribuito a dare vita in modo davvero magistrale a questo personaggio.
Che loro stessi chiamano infatti il filosofo per quanto riguarda Avengers Infinity War. Per quanto riguarda Endgame, Sidney ha presentato quest'anno un overview su quello che è stato il lavoro per varie scene di Endgame e in questo caso, avendo realizzato con lui un'intervista, approfondiremo questa talk in quell'episodio, quindi restate sintonizzati. Sempre da Weta Digital è Guy Williams, supervisore agli effetti speciali di Gemini Man, film che ha la particolarità di avere Will Smith nella sua attuale età, ma anche quando era giovane, effetti realizzati completamente in modo digitale e su cui ha fatto un breakdown davvero interessante e molto stupefacente. Guy Williams, prima di lavorare a Gemini Man, ha lavorato su progetti veramente grandi: Signore degli Anelli, Avatar, X-Men, Hunger Games, per poi arrivare a realizzare anche lavori nel mondo Marvel con The Avengers o Iron Man 3. Mentre i suoi progetti più recenti sono il film di Spielberg, GGG, il grande gigante gentile, e Guardiani della Galassia volume 2.
E Guy Williams è uno dei due supervisori che hanno portato un talk sull'effetto di ringiovanimento o invecchiamento di un personaggio che nell'ultimo anno è stato davvero usato molto più intensivamente all'interno dei film.
Sì, infatti è presente anche all'interno di Avengers Endgame, in Gemini Man, in Captain Marvel, diciamo è stato usato in molti posti e fuori dal panorama supereroi che non è ancora uscito e che promette di essere veramente interessante, The Irishman di Martin Scorsese. Parlando comunque della talk, si è incentrato completamente su Gemini Man e come Will Smith è stato fondamentalmente preso, scannerizzato totalmente con sistemi veramente fighi. Per esempio c'è un sistema di scansione della persona che prevede una sfera all'interno della quale si piazza l'attore con moltissimi punti luce, viene illuminato da un punto luce per volta e in questo modo è interessante come si crea fondamentalmente una mappa non solo di quella che è la struttura del viso della persona, ma anche di come quel viso reagisce a fondamentalmente ogni tipo e ogni direzione di luce, come la pelle agisce in trasparenza, come agisce con il riflesso, eccetera.
Sì, perché è un aspetto molto difficile di quando viene ricreato un umano in digitale o anche solo un viso in digitale, è appunto riprodurre anche le condizioni di illuminazione che ci sono poi sul set per creare un effetto che si mescoli bene con il background e l'ambiente circostante.
Fatto ciò, l'attore poi interpreta la propria parte, quindi nel caso di Gemini Man, dove vi erano alcune scene in cui lui era da solo, per esempio, in quel caso gli veniva fondamentalmente realizzato sul viso un motion tracking grazie ad alcuni punti di riferimento che vengono tracciati sul viso e una GoPro a infrarossi che rimane in fronte all'attore in modo da catturarne completamente qualunque espressione. Oppure nel caso in cui vi siano due Will Smith nella stessa inquadratura, la scena viene prima realizzata con Will Smith da una parte che interpreta il ruolo di Will Smith vecchio e in un secondo momento in un ambiente virtuale, diciamo, con le tute da motion capture viene invece realizzato la seconda parte dove Will Smith interpreta la sua controparte giovane e in entrambi i momenti l'altro Will Smith viene interpretato da una controfigura praticamente.
Sì, e inoltre nelle scene d'azione l'attore non interpreta sempre tutte le parti di una scena, ma quando c'è una lotta o una disputa un po' più concitata viene appunto sostituito dalla controfigura e quindi in questo caso poi il viso della controfigura viene totalmente sostituito.
Esatto, quindi si passa al digitale in cui è fondamentale a questo punto avere sì una versione di Will Smith come adesso, ma soprattutto avere la versione di Will Smith da giovane.
Sì, perché il ringiovanimento fatto da Guy Williams e dal suo team è totalmente in digitale. Infatti viene realizzato il modello di Will Smith nella versione giovane e questo modello è davvero molto accurato. Si basti pensare che hanno realizzato un sistema di rete di pori della pelle, di come il sangue fluisca all'interno del viso per capire a seconda delle espressioni quali parti del viso rimangono più chiare o più scure, perché se ad esempio facciamo un'espressione in cui ci si aggrotta la fronte, ovviamente fluirà meno sangue nella fronte e quindi la fronte rimarrà più bianca, che possono sembrare dettagli da poco, però in un primo piano della persona sono dettagli a cui il nostro cervello dà parecchia importanza, perché è abituato da tutta una vita a vedere visi di umani reali e quindi cercherà inconsciamente anche in un modello digitale della persona quelli che sono questi, diciamo, dettagli che gli faranno capire se la persona è vera o no.
Sì, è il livello a cui si sono spinti non tanto di tecnologia, ma veramente a livello di biologia, cioè qui entra veramente in gioco come funziona la pelle umana, come funziona la melanina al di sotto della pelle, di come si muove. La cosa più veramente che mi ha lasciato a bocca aperta completamente è stato il fatto che abbiano pensato che all'interno dell'occhio ci sono i capillari delle vene che però sono suddivisi in due strati. C'è uno strato che è esterno al bulbo oculare e che rimane fermo ed è una sottilissima pellicola protettiva a cui all'interno appunto ci sono dei capillari, però al di sotto di quella pellicola c'è il bulbo oculare che ha esso stesso capillari che però si muove effettivamente e quindi c'è addirittura questa cosa che tu dici che è veramente però devo dire che il risultato è stupefacente, cioè io non ho mai visto una roba del genere, fa veramente paura, cioè fino a qualche anno fa per esempio anche con Logan lo vedevi circa ancora nei movimenti che non erano proprio perfettissimi, che c'era qualcosina che ancora ti diceva ma questo viso non me la conta giusta, qualche effetto di luce, qualche luminosità, qualche rifrazione che non era proprio giustissima, ma in questo caso non si può capire. Cioè lui faceva vedere come avessero preso una vecchia scena di Bad Boy in cui lui era giovane, perché ovviamente è tutto passato anche sotto lo studio reale del Will Smith da giovane, e ha fatto vedere una clip di Bad Boy non so più quale in cui faceva vedere come si muoveva il Will Smith da giovane, come erano le sue proporzioni del viso eccetera, per poi dirci alla fine comunque quello lì è il nostro Will Smith. Ma io non ci avrei mai creduto, non l'avrei mai detto, è una roba incredibile.
Sì, nemmeno io l'avevo minimamente capito.
So in this case, we decided that instead of painting pores for the face, what we're going to do is we're going to grow the pores on the face. So one of the modelers one of the shader writers came up with this elegant solution where he grows the pores in Houdini. So the way we start with that is we take our model, we triangulate it down to a resolution of about 3 million polygons, and then the only thing that we put in as a painted map are large anchor shapes, like the very characteristic wrinkles under the eyes. You know, we have to get those exactly right because everybody knows Will has exactly 2 under the left eye kind of thing. You'll see that the eyelids themselves are a little bit wrong, but you don't have pores in your eyelids, so we're not worrying about the maps at those points. The next step is to draw flow lines onto the face. So this is just a simple process where you draw curves on the face that kind of mimic the grain of the face. And then every vertice looks at the nearest two curves and takes the average value, and that becomes the flow at that point on the surface. From there, we use a pelting system to evenly distribute dots all over the face. These dots are driven by a large variety of region maps that control things from width, depth, whether it's a positive or a negative pore, how much they pillow, and also the anisotropy of that specific pore. Once again, anisotropy comes into play once you start to see what how the flow comes into play. So the next step is we use those flow lines that we have to grow the furrow lines. You can see some furrow lines are brighter than others, and it has to do with flow. And you can see here we're just going to tweak the flow in a certain area, and you can see that it rotates. So even though pores have sort of a football shape, what it does is it sort of defines which football shapes are the most important, which connections are the most important. Flow being a very important thing, because the entire point of this is that your pores have a certain shape because of the way your skin moves. Your skin collapses in certain areas with a bias, since you have a grain to your face, and that shapes the pores, and it's what causes your wrinkles eventually. So from here, we can add in microgeometry. We did two kinds of microgeometry. We did a sort of bombed version using the flow to sort of orient it correctly, and then we did an empirical version. Then we add in the other layers. We put the furrows back in, we put the billows back in, and you end up with skin that was relatively real. So not only do we have all the pores on the face, we have control over what to do with them. So we can take those pores now, and when we do facial animation and the face moves around, we actually do a tetrahedral sim. We actually take all the pores and we collapse them using grain as a sort of path of least resistance equation. So as the skin moves around, you get the pores actually folding into the correct lines. The other benefit you get is you see a slight little jiggle in certain areas as it relaxes really fast. It sort of settles in. So all this is, for every shot that we had close up in the movie, we're able to take this process, run it as an automated part of the process, and have it for free. Just another example of showing you how important that grain is. In the corner of the eye, you can see that as you open and close your eye, these little micro wrinkles form, and they're sort of the precursors to crow's feet. And this is another good example, just showing you some expressions. This is not the final result. This is an early test, so you can see it's not dialed in very well. The pores don't look like real skin yet. But you can see the point of it is that in certain areas of the face, you actually get the proper micro wrinkling. Now, even when you're not close to the face, this is important because it creates an anisotropic highlight. So at a distance, your highlight on the face changes a little bit naturally because these wrinkles are occurring. If you don't do this, it's another thing that just makes it look more and more like it's a latex appliance as opposed to a real living, breathing thing.
E dopo aver costruito in maniera così accurata il modello, il passo successivo è stato poi quello di mappare la performance di Will Smith sul modello ringiovanito, utilizzando i puntini che gli sono stati disegnati sul viso per avere una reference 1 a 1 con il modello.
Questo appunto nell'ottica di portare completamente quella che è la performance dell'attore 100% veritiera, anche se completamente in digitale.
So we start with, we have a mask that's molded to Will Smith's face that has drilled holes in it. We actually, during the makeup session in the morning, we put the mask on his face and we use a pen to mark out the sites for each one of the black dots, and then the makeup artist comes in with facial makeup and puts in black dots on the face. There are two cameras in stereo on the front of the boom. The little rings that you see on the front of the cameras are actually infrared LEDs. We stopped using natural light LEDs a long time ago because we felt it was distracting to the actor to try to give a performance when he's got a flat little mag light in his face. So our cameras are now tuned to infrared, which means that regardless of what light is happening on the set, the cameras can always see the facial performance. So here you see the output of the stereo pair. It's not left and right, it's actually top and bottom. But over on the right, you also see the result, which is a recreated point cloud, a marker cloud for each one of the sites. And since there's two cameras, it can give a pretty good estimate as to the depth of the site as well. You'll notice the advantage of infrared is that the dots are very obvious. You don't lose them at all. Even if he goes into a dark room, we can still capture this stuff. If he's being hit by lightning, so that you are flashed in the frame like crazy, the infrared doesn't get phased by that. It actually holds up pretty well. The disadvantage is that you lose all skin structure, so you have to use tetting or facial ink. From here, we put it into our facial animation system. Each one of these sliders represents, in theory, a muscle group on the face. Now, one of the things you're noticing here is that we're animating the Henry puppet, not the junior puppet, and that's an important step because until you're confident that the animation is correct, you don't want to interject another variable. This is a great example. You'll see a small little change in his eyes, but we're talking moving different shapes on the face. A tenth of a millimeter makes all the difference in the world. It changes the emotion of a performance. This is why facial animation is so hard. You have to get it right. One thing I just wanted to point out was when we talk about the facial shape system that we use, you see a handful of sliders, so tilting the neck left, right, rotating left, right, tilting up and down. So those are the shapes. Now for each shape you have to create in-betweens. You have to create combos. You have to create corrector shapes for combos. So you can see that just to get the head to move in those handful of shapes, you end up with 600 heads. So that's just the neck. So you can imagine that for every facial part of the face, you end up with thousands of shapes in the facial system. We say that we're mocapping it, but the truth of the matter is that there's so much more going on here. It's the animators that are really carrying a lot of weight here. The solver that comes out of mocap gives you a pretty good estimation of the result, but it isn't until the animator gets in there and really starts to tweak things. And in the beginning of the show, you're not tweaking the animation, you're tweaking the puppet. You're tweaking the shapes that go into the puppet to try to get the right result. And at the end, you're tweaking the animation. But the intent is to make sure that not only do you see the performance, you see the emotion. He came up with this idea that shapes shouldn't be linear in a blend system, that you actually need to try to figure out how to get it to feel like it's muscles affecting the fascia at different depths. So he created a system called the deep shape system, and you can see as you move the slider up and down, it feels like the muscle influence is shallower and deeper in the skin. There's also a slight delay line to certain parts of the blend shapes. That's incredibly important because it gives you the sense that even though some parts of the face can get there pretty fast, other parts just take that 1 or 2 extra frames to get there. Another example, just showing you on a blink. If you look on the right, when he blinks, the eyelids feel very, very connected to the blink. It feels very linear. On the left, you sort of see this almost settling the epicanthic fold as he blinks. The epicanthic fold is still traveling down as the eye starts to travel upwards. That stuff would be incredibly hard to put into the animation system as something that the animators had to control. So having an automated system was really critical. This is just another good example of it because what you see at the end here is the difference between the deep shape and the blend shape. So you can see how much of an impact it's actually having on the face. The beauty of this system is that it's sort of canned. The animator doesn't have to do anything except throw a switch that turns it on.
Quindi questo è quanto riguarda Gemini Man e Guy Williams, davvero interessante. Successivamente abbiamo uno degli studi più famosi, storici, che c'è dai primissimi tempi dell'industria degli effetti speciali, ovvero la ILM, l'Industrial Light and Magic, di cui il primo rappresentante che vediamo è Daniele Bigi.
Anche lui italiano che ora lavora a Londra e che ha lavorato sulla versione live action di Aladdin.
Lui è nell'industria da molto tempo, ha cominciato come lighter in vari film, tra cui Harry Potter e i doni della morte parte 1, in cui ha fatto il lead lighter. Successivamente è passato alla parte di computer graphic, soprattutto in quello che è il mondo Marvel, quindi Guardiani della Galassia, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, fino ad arrivare alla ILM come Visual Effects Supervisor per Ready Player One, Aladdin e il futuro Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, l'ultimo episodio.
E come ben saprete uno dei protagonisti in Aladdin è il genio, e il genio è stato interpretato da Will Smith, quindi un altro modello tutto digitale di Will Smith, solo che questa volta invece che essere ringiovanito viene trasformato in un genio blu che può prendere diverse sembianze.
Che dico io, potevano comunque passarsi il modello, no?
Ma si sa, vendor diversi eccetera, tecnologie proprietarie e via dicendo. Comunque il talk di Daniele è stato davvero molto interessante e ha spiegato innanzitutto come viene fatta la cattura della performance, l'acquisizione del viso in 4D per poi passare a realizzare tutte le possibili espressioni e infine l'animazione del modello. E in particolare Daniele si è soffermato sulle tecnologie e sugli strumenti che vengono utilizzati in collaborazione con il centro di ricerca della Disney di Zurigo.
ILM is part of Disney Group and we have a great relationship with Disney Research. We used Disney technology in the past like Medusa and Sensei. At the beginning of Aladdin production, Disney Research Center in Zurich was working hard on a new software called Anima, designed to capture unconstrained facial performances. We organized a meeting with Derek Broadley, a senior research scientist at Disney, to talk about the possibility to use the software at ILM for the first time. Let's talk a bit more in detail about these three key technologies. So the first step was to use Medusa. Medusa is a proven technology used in many blockbuster movies. In a nutshell, it's a system designed to capture high-resolution expressions. It relies on a pop-up mobile hardware, easy to transport and set up. The hardware uses a series of normal video cameras and standard illuminations. The Medusa system is able to reconstruct the higher resolution geometry of the face, and in particular, how the geometry deforms over time, while keeping fixed topology. The Medusa rig is an extension of the photogrammetry approach. Medusa is useful for two primary scenarios. The first one is to build an expression shape library, and the second usage is to reconstruct performance dialogue. In the case of Aladdin, we used to extract expressions and create our shape library for Will. We didn't want to use Medusa to capture Will performance. Medusa is limited in terms of space. The actor is seated. To capture different expressions, the actor needs to start every time from a neutral position. So improvisations and long performances are limited. And here you can see a subset of raw shapes extracted from Will's performance using Medusa. Usually we capture over 100 specific expressions, but we extract a subset of that. For generic digital double, we extract 30 to 40 shapes, but for Will, we extracted around 70 shapes. After capturing and processing Medusa shapes, we deploy Anima to capture Will performance. What is Anima? It is a high-quality, unconstrained facial performance capture solution. Providing the high-quality footage to Anima, Anima doesn't require markers on the actor face. The actor can perform in a volume approximately 5 feet by 3 feet, and the actor can also perform freely in an ADR style scenario. Alternatively, the actor can also wear an headset cam. The actor can move around, gesticulate, and perform to the correct eye lines, and it's possible to capture a lifelike and compelling performance. The actor can carry on experimenting and improvising. Anima software supports any number of cameras from any source. For example, it's possible to use Anima using video footage coming from HMC, the headset cam setup. And in the case of Aladdin, we decided and we choose to use 3 fixed camera setup. For other projects, we are now using 5 camera setup with even better coverage for eyes, lips, and neck. Using a volume with fixed camera gives some specific advantages over head-mounted camera setup and some disadvantages. Actors usually they are quite happy to act without any headset. The camera solve, it's quite easy because the camera are fixed. The quality of the footage is very high thanks to the type of lenses and sensor used, helping Anima software to track very precisely the acquired data. Because the video quality was very, very good, we didn't need to track any markers on the actor face. We skipped that step in our process entirely. A big advantage, of course, with HMC, the headset camera setup, is that the actor can perform even more freely. He can interact with other actors in a massive space. For Aladdin, the main goal was to get the best facial data for Will Smith. For us, the face performance was more important than the body motion. Genie, in most of the shots, is featured with his magic tail. We knew that we have to change quite a lot of the body performance anyway. We had to suppress, for example, most of his pelvic motion to avoid having the feeling that he was walking instead of flying. So that is why the fixed camera with the volume capture was the best option for this project. The real magic happened when we ran Anima software. So Anima used Medusa shapes to understand the actor expressions. So the shapes from Medusa can be edited in any way that we want. So for example, we can decide to clean up unwanted areas such as eyebrow, normally replaced using a grooming software. Or you can go to the extent to clean up unwanted wrinkles that appears maybe just in one particular expressions. What that means is that the output from Anima won't need pretty much any cleanup, because Anima will solve the facial deformation using perfect tailored and clean-up shapes. Even in areas where the actor face is fully occluded, like nostrils or areas around the eye socket, Anima will find the best Medusa shapes to fill the missing data. Anima uses the full albedo of the actor face to track any movement detected on virtually any pixel of the camera footage. We eliminated the need to track the markers and improving the quality of the facial track. Now, from this image, some of you probably spotted that we added markers on Will's face. And this is simply because it was the first time ever that this new software was used in production for so many shots. So we didn't know about the final results. I can confirm that we never track any markers in any shots, and we fully rely on Anima to track the raw footage. Anima is internally subdividing the face into many patches. Every geo patch is solved against Medusa shapes per frame. Every patch can stretch and move around, but with specific boundaries based on Medusa data. The result is a very stable cache without any geometric crackling, temporal noise, or topology sliding. Because Anima uses Medusa data, it can extract normal and displacement maps and blend them over time. To improve even more the eyes and the lip contours, we use Sensei. Sensei is an interactive training machine learning tool. Sensei auto-detects face landmarks. Artists can use any camera footage and add Sensei annotations. These annotations are defined with a set of simple 2D splines. Usually the training is done adding spline every 10 or 15 frames, and the software learns and solves the rest of the frames automatically. Sensei has been integrated as a plugin for Anima, helping the artist to work efficiently. Anima can also solve neck rotation, eye blinks, eye tracking, and jaw movement. Solving all this data is incredibly powerful for editing the performance. We wanted to keep all the expressions from Will's face, but we needed to change the eye lines all the time, and also in many shots change the neck orientation. We already have a new version of Anima that can solve a neck deformation in a much more accurate way. I don't know if you ever noticed, but human neck is extremely complex in the way it moves. So during Aladdin, we improved the results, and with the new 5-camera setup, we will do even better for future projects, covering large portion of the actor neck. The work to implement a new technology never used before was incredible. After a tremendous amount of work done at ILM, now we have a new tool in our arsenal. We can run Anima on our CPU farm, and Anima can also run very quickly via GPU on artist machine.
E un altro aspetto su cui si è soffermato per quanto riguarda gli effetti speciali di Aladdin è la realizzazione della coda del genio. Infatti non solo è una forma controllabile dagli animatori, ma c'è anche tutto un lavoro di simulazione al di sopra che permette di creare questo effetto molto dinamico e bello. E infine un'altra sfida che hanno affrontato è quello della realizzazione della città di Agrabah, perché è stato realizzato un intero set in 3D con volumi che fossero inquadrabili da diverse prospettive, quindi non solo dei piani che potevano essere inquadrati esattamente da una certa angolazione, ma un modello a tutto tondo che potesse dare la flessibilità al regista di decidere le inquadrature che voleva. E inoltre anche il sistema di illuminazione consentiva la flessibilità necessaria a realizzare praticamente inquadrature in qualsiasi ora del giorno.
Sì, quindi fondamentalmente l'industria si sta un po' spostando verso l'umano digitale piuttosto che, diciamo, utilizzare quelli che sono trucco e parrucco, che comunque, devo dire, per ricreare quella che è una pelle completamente e in modo veritiero colorata di blu, che non faccia sembrare Will Smith un pitturato, l'effetto è veramente notevole, soprattutto considerando il fatto che comunque è un effetto che fondamentalmente non si vede, quindi è un duro lavoro ma che dà i suoi frutti. Sempre per ILM era presente anche Hal Hickel, uno storico animatore di effetti speciali, che fin da piccolo è stato completamente infognato nel mondo di Star Wars, nel mondo dell'animazione, dello stop motion, degli effetti speciali fatti con la stop motion di King Kong, di Godzilla, e all'interno dell'industria ha aiutato a realizzare alcuni degli effetti speciali più emblematici del secolo. Per esempio ha lavorato alla trilogia dei Pirati dei Caraibi e in particolare ha ricevuto un Oscar e un BAFTA per l'animazione facciale di Davy Jones, realizzata interamente da ILM. Lui nella sua talk dal titolo Living the Dream 35 Years in VFX Industry racconta appunto un po' la sua vita e di come sia stato entrare nel mondo degli effetti speciali, e in particolare era partito proprio dagli inizi, proprio da indietrissimo a quando faceva i primissimi corti in stop motion, e comunque a come ha affrontato alcune sfide proprio dal punto di vista personale nella propria vita. E vi diremo di più nell'episodio dedicato, perché siamo felici di dirvi che siamo riusciti ad intervistarlo e quindi ci sarà un episodio tutto per lui.
È un altro protagonista del panorama effetti speciali, soprattutto per quanto riguarda Star Wars, è Rob Bredow. Ha lavorato precedentemente alla Sony Pictures Imageworks con film come Independence Day, Godzilla, Castaway e Piovono polpette, e il suo più grande contributo è stato su Solo, lo spin-off di Star Wars.
Infatti nel suo talk lui presenta quelli che sono 40 anni nell'industria degli effetti speciali per Star Wars, partendo dalle primissimi modelli realizzati completamente a mano, animati in stop motion, con le esplosioni realizzate con mezzi di fortuna, con carretti che tiravano la macchina da presa. Insomma, ha raccontato un po' quella che è stata la storia non solo degli Star Wars ma fondamentalmente anche dell'industria degli effetti speciali, fino ad arrivare appunto a raccontare quella che è stata la sua personale esperienza in Solo.
E aspetto interessante del suo talk è che ha portato in luce, diciamo, 3 punti fondamentali per quando si realizzano effetti speciali. In particolare il primo era take chances, quindi comunque di cogliere le opportunità che vengono date con le nuove tecnologie o con le nuove direzioni che sta prendendo il mercato per realizzare qualcosa di nuovo e mai visto.
So if you want to innovate, you have to be willing to take some risks. And this was really something that was foundational to the way George Lucas established the company. He made big bets, took big creative chances, and then he just counted on the really smart people that were around him to be able to pull off this, create these techniques. The artists and engineers that surrounded him would just create the future just in time for the release date. So a few examples of this from the original Star Wars film. Even the droid, R2, was barely able to function on set. And how many of you remember the famous Mos Eisley cantina scene? Even with lots of fantastic designs and very advanced puppetry for the day, I understand when George Lucas got to the set, he was not very happy. He was worried that this thing was going to look like a B movie. Nothing like what he had in his mind when he wrote the film. But fortunately, with some smoke and mirrors and creative cinematography, really clever editing. That scene actually became one of the most memorable scenes in the film, every bit as grand as he had imagined. Of course, Mos Eisley wasn't the only risk that was taken in that original Star Wars film. Computer-controlled motion control was invented for the movie. This is a picture of the Dijkstraflex. It's a first-of-its-kind motion control with multiple degrees of freedom, allowing for complex camera moves and cranes, had accurate motion blur, repeatable camera moves, enabled a new era in visual effects for the first time in cinema history. So that idea of taking risks, doing really ambitious things, and working it out as you go along, that continues today. So if Star Wars is the first example of that, a more recent example might be in this returning character, Grand Moff Tarkin. So as you know, creating a fully believable acting digital human is a pretty challenging task. It's about the hardest thing we can do in CG. Especially in this case, somebody who's no longer with us, as we're not able to get new photos or new digital scans. So in fact, Tarkin himself perfectly expressed our thoughts on the matter when we decided, or when the production decided, that this is what they wanted to do in the film. So listen to his words.
I'm taking an awful risk, Vader. This had better work.
Here, this is kind of an interesting test. We took the shots from the original Star Wars and used it to try to photo model our digital model in and get it to be as accurate as possible to that original footage. One of the tricky things, if you've ever done this sort of detailed match move, you need to unwarp the plate, right? You need to know what lens was used. So this is an early test where Guy gave us a performance. We actually captured this with our Medusa system. This is a very high resolution way of capturing a facial actor and getting a consistent topology from frame by frame. This is actually running at 30 frames per second in this test. So this is that Medusa performance applied to his digital model.
Charm to the last.
So that's his raw performance, and here's what that looks like in an early test, remapped and retargeted onto Tarkin. So they have very similar faces, but not exactly the same. So you can see there's a lot of work that has to be done just to get it to map onto Tarkin.
Charm to the last.
So that gave us a useful starting point. You can see from this test that we were getting a somewhat believable performance, but this wasn't going to be a way that we could do the entire movie. We didn't want Guy Henry to have to sit in a chair on a controlled soundstage. We wanted him to be able to work on set with all the other actors. So we used this head cam here. Rather than using the Medusa system that you saw earlier, we used a head cam, a stereo pair of cameras, that he would wear on set. So then all of his eye lines, all of his gestures, his body, that would all line up exactly where we wanted it to be for the final film, and all we had to do then is replace his head and that rig with our digital Tarkin.
Il secondo punto invece di cui ha parlato è quello di dare spazio e potere, diciamo, agli artisti guidandoli attraverso una tematica comune, in quanto una tematica comune espande le opportunità degli artisti che però con la loro creatività individuale possono portare molto di più al team nel complesso.
In particolare è interessantissimo il breakdown, la spiegazione di come è stata orchestrata l'esplosione del coaxium all'interno del film solo. Piccola parentesi, c'è questa scena in cui Solo con la sua banda cercano di rubare un carico di questo minerale estremamente raro, estremamente prezioso, estremamente instabile e pericoloso. Ovviamente va tutto a finire a scatafascio e il treno cade sulla montagna e questo minerale esplode con una delle esplosioni più belle secondo me della storia del cinema, soprattutto per il modo in cui è stata realizzata. Partendo dalla location in cui hanno girato le scene che ovviamente non richiedevano effetti speciali, blue screen e grandi set da costruire, perché la scena è stata girata sulle Dolomiti in Italia e la cosa molto particolare è che hanno realizzato moltissime fotografie della zona in modo poi, grazie alla geolocalizzazione, andare a ricostruire fotograficamente la valle una volta avuto fondamentalmente il modello tridimensionale e fotografico della montagna. Piuttosto che minare le intere Dolomiti hanno detto vabbè, magari usiamo gli effetti speciali però volevano dare un forte peso a questa esplosione. E quindi, esplorando un po' l'internet, hanno trovato gli slow-mo guys che esploravano come è un'esplosione sott'acqua. E l'effetto è veramente figo perché fondamentalmente quando c'è un'esplosione sott'acqua vi è un'improvvisa espansione d'aria all'interno dell'acqua che crea una bolla, ma poi si ricontrae nella nuvola di fumo. E questo effetto è stato registrato poi da ILM con una fotocamera a 25.000 o non so quanti fotogrammi di velocità. Tra l'altro, piccola parentesi, la cosa molto pericolosa di girare scene ad altissimo frame rate ti obbliga ad avere delle luci estremamente potenti, quindi più che altro è divertente come in quel set che avevano costruito la cosa più pericolosa non fosse l'esplosivo, ma letteralmente la fotografia, le luci, se guardate, potevano accecare letteralmente. Ottenuta la registrazione, poi è stata ricreata in 3D, tutta scontornata, inserita all'interno del film con un effetto veramente fantastico.
The next thing I want to talk about is how we empower artists at ILM. And we do that through various means, but one of them is by designing our movies with theme wherever possible. So dailies culture is really key at ILM, and earlier today you heard Hal talking a little bit about this. Anyone in the room can make suggestions. It's an open forum. The best idea is designed to win. So a good idea comes up, we really want to try to get that in the movie if at all possible. In the end, the visual effects supervisor makes a call, and this is a still, I think, back from episode 4. You can see Dennis Muren there, I think sitting right behind George Lucas. The visual effects supervisor makes a call for all the things that were suggested, which things we're doing, try to make our next steps as clear as possible. This is where a lot of great ideas come from. But what does that actually mean by empowering artists through themes? If you want to let artists do their very best work, how do you give them that freedom but keep everybody pointed in the same direction? That's what theme is all about. And I won't go into a lot of detail just for the sake of time, but the first person who really taught me about designing from theme was Joe Rohde. He's an Imagineer at Walt Disney Imagineering. And he gave a presentation in 2006 that really stuck with me. He talked about how the entire theme park of Animal Kingdom was built on the theme of nature. So it was more of a zoo than a traditional theme park. And if you know the theme of nature, and you're asked as a designer how to design certain parts of it, you're always going to make some of those same themed choices. So you're going to know if you're designing the paths, and the theme is nature, are you going to make them meandering or are you going to make them straight? You're just going to know, because of the theme, that you're going to make meandering paths. And if you're figuring out what color those paths are going to be, and someone asks you whether they should be brown like dirt or gray like cement, you know intuitively you're going to make them brown like dirt to tie in with the theme. So here's an example of designing to a theme with the coaxium explosion. So we love blowing stuff up in visual effects. How does knowing the theme impact the design of blowing something up? This is actually an example from Solo. So this was the film I supervised recently, and we love blowing things up, but explosions are pretty, there's a lot of pretty remarkable explosions in the Star Wars films. But for Solo, there was this line that visual effects supervisors either love or hate. It said, an explosion like one we've never seen before. So our theme on Solo was to tie us back to those original techniques. We were looking to make a movie that felt like it was made in the years leading up to that original Star Wars Episode 4. So it meant as much in-camera photography as possible. We were looking to make grounded, real-life scenarios. We started by taking a lot of real photographs. Once we picked the certain canyons in the Dolomites, we took tens of thousands of photos. We actually took them not only of our favorite locations, but in exactly the right lighting condition that you saw there in that final sequence. It was that pre-dawn or overcast lighting. So then we could extract both the shape and the lighting from these photo models. So we walked away with 3D plates that we could digitally re-photograph. Each one of those green dots, that's another place, green or purple, or any of those colored dots, those are another place we took photos from the helicopter to reconstruct this one canyon. And this is just one of several locations that we built. And then some of this we needed to shoot in a controlled environment. So we built this massive set piece. So then it comes to blowing up the mountain. And the question is, of course, can we blow this mountain up for real? Well, the Italian government was very flexible with us, but not quite that flexible, especially with the mountain we wanted to blow up. It was at Trent. I think a few of you have heard of it, fairly well known. It's a national park, not a good idea to actually go blowing things up for real. So I was trying to come up with something unique to do, and I stumbled across these two guys online. So it's practical and real, and it's got all the things that are consistent with our theme, but it's also doing something new and unexpected, something we weren't used to seeing before in these films. So we set up a somewhat similar configuration, just a little more control. This is a 25,000 frame per second camera. So it starts there with a live action photography that we shot from the chopper. Then we take that element and retime it. We're actually going to map it onto 3D geometry so we can track it into that moving helicopter shot. And then even though we started with real mountains, we needed to create digital mountains in order to be able to collapse and destroy them. And then all those pyroclastic cloud sims, the avalanches, the snow avalanches that are caused by the explosion, and even that initial ripple of that impact as it goes out across the canyon. You can see all those pieces come together for the final shot.
E infine, terzo punto di cui ha parlato Rob Bredow per realizzare effetti speciali è quello sostanzialmente di imbrogliare e di prendere delle scorciatoie, perché non sempre bisogna realizzare le cose a puntino, ma se alla fine lo spettatore non se ne rende comunque conto, allora tanto vale semplificarsi un po' la vita. E l'esempio che ha portato è di un vecchio film di Star Wars in cui si ha un inseguimento nella foresta di Leila e Luke, e per realizzarlo hanno tirato dei cavi all'interno della foresta in modo da definire un percorso da seguire con la camera, e poi sono andati con una Steadicam passo dopo passo seguendo il filo e scattando fotografie, in modo che poi, messe tutte assieme, si creasse questa ripresa ad alta velocità del volo all'interno della foresta. E ha citato questo esempio perché nonostante il filo fosse in gran parte delle foto che sono state scattate lungo questo percorso, non è stato rimosso in seguito, perché comunque non veniva sostanzialmente notato dallo spettatore, e anche a saperlo si fa un po' fatica a vederlo, e quindi diciamo che contribuiva un po' al dinamismo della scena, e non è stato perso un sacco di tempo a rimuovere in seguito questo particolare da ogni inquadratura.
And the last one is cheating or taking shortcuts, which we love to do. It makes it possible to do tremendous innovation when you know you can also cheat like mad to get there. Because I like to say we're not actually sending astronauts to the moon, we just have to make it look like we did, because that's all that matters is what the final picture looks like. But actually one of the things that's my favorite shortcuts on these films had nothing to do with the races and all these giant miniatures that they made, because they actually did that in a lot of detail. But when it came to putting the crowds in the background, CG crowds are of course a deal, and dressing this large of an area with CG crowds takes some time. And of course, ILM wanted to save as much time as possible for the things that really mattered in this sequence. So those crowds in this sequence, while it would have been possible to do it in 3D, John Knoll said, I have an idea, and they made it with Q-tips. Painted the Q-tips different colors, and they left the bottom of the Q-tip on so it could catch wind, and they could put fans on the bottom of the Q-tips, and they would move around in the seats. And it was a really effective illusion as long as you weren't too close. So a lot of these shots just have the Q-tips in the seats, and they look fantastic to pull off the illusion and saved the effort for where it was most needed. Of course, in this part of the sequence where the CG teams were kept extremely busy.
E quindi è stato interessante sentire questi consigli da un personaggio che è da lungo tempo nel campo degli effetti speciali.
Quindi abbiamo finito con ILM e adesso tutti gli altri Visual Effects Studios. Qui mi raccomando, stesso effettino dell'episodio scorso, quindi con il logo carino, con tutti gli altri, e poi Visual Effects Studios, magari usando proprio quello prima e barrando animation e mettendoci Visual Effects. Perfetto.
Per fare le cose professionali, ovviamente.
Esattamente. E dai Sony Pictures Imageworks arriva Theo Bialek. Lui attualmente ha ricoperto il ruolo di Visual Effects Supervisor sull'ultimo Spider-Man, Far From Home, ma è da più di 20 anni nell'industria e ha lavorato a numerosi film come Alice nel Paese delle Meraviglie, Lanterna Verde, I Puffi 2 e anche i precedenti di Amazing Spider-Man.
E nel suo talk ha fatto un ottimo breakdown appunto degli effetti su Spider-Man Far From Home. Prima di tutto infatti sono partiti dal dover realizzare praticamente una copia digitale del Tower Bridge, che hanno realizzato aiutandosi con molte fotografie georeferenziate e un tool che gli permetteva di esplorare le diverse fotografie semplicemente decidendo da che punto guardare il ponte. Hanno quindi scannerizzato completamente il Tower Bridge e hanno poi ripulito il modello digitale. Inoltre altri modelli che hanno realizzato sono stati ovviamente i personaggi, perché in certe scene vengono completamente sostituiti da umani digitali, ma anche i droni che si vedono in diverse scene. E si è soffermato in particolare sulla scena del Tower Bridge e del Super Uber Elemental, perché in queste scene sono stati utilizzati veramente tanti effetti. Non solo realizzare la coppia del ponte, ma anche poi realizzare i diversi danni che si hanno sul ponte, realizzare la città circostante, i veicoli, le barche e poi appunto il Super Uber Elemental. E diciamo che in questo ci sono tutti gli effetti che una simulazione digitale abbia mai potuto creare, dall'acqua al fuoco, ai fulmini, alla nebbia, al fumo, cioè tutto, hanno messo tutto.
This is an example of what we shot on the first day of acquisition. We had access to the tower, right at the tops of the towers. So from there we would try to mock up shots that we saw in previous, take plates for those and tiles. We would shoot 3 times a day. Because we don't necessarily know what light angle or time days would be perfect for that particular location, we just set up at each location at 3 times. We have morning light, afternoon light, and evening or late afternoon. So you can see the difference in the shadows and how that plays across. You can see here that the acquisition was pretty thorough. Anywhere we could walk in that location, we did, and we would shoot the tiles and plates at these locations. From the roadway to the bridge, from the city hall, from the London Tower, the castle, surrounding buildings as well. We shot a lot of aerial plates as well. We shot from on top of the bus, so we weren't able to do set periods of shooting on the bridge, but they would shut it down for periods of 2 to 5 minutes, at which point we would race down on the bridge on the bus, or the reference photographers would be hiding in the hallways there and they'd jump out. We also shot rooftops over there, and the boat as well. So we have the whole area covered pretty well. So as far as the photography goes, we shoot round of HDMI tiles for everyone 3 times a day at all locations. The first thing we're doing there is just seeing the bracketed images that show you different angles of shooting on a tripod. And you make HDMI images out of those, you stitch those together, and then you create basically a world that you can spin around from every one of these locations that we photographed. And it was very useful because the artists would have all these CG shots, and they wouldn't necessarily have a reference point that exactly matched what they were after. But they could go find the location in this new setup and find the image that resolution they need, change the focal length, and then generate their own reference as they need per shot. So this is one of the processes that we did for each shot that they would do. First thing the compositor was required was go to the repository, find the reference plate. If you can't find it, go to the new script and generate your own. Also useful for mapping to generate theirs as well for the tiles. So for the scanning, the whole area needs to be scanned by the items. The preamble, they are scanning. You can see here that there's quite a bit of detail that was done, and that was down at the rigs. So here's the LiDAR justified against the model. We go through the process of just trying to match that up best we can. Now generally, we don't try to use all of our resources in an initial build of an asset. So we need to save an allowance for the shots. You generally bring up your assets to about 80% of completion, saving some time to do the refinement later on. Generally, each piece of geometry required about 30 maps. About half of those are tilted maps, and that allows for compositing teams and AOVs to actually change those after it's already rendered and go and make them darker or brighter. They also have access to the glaze maps as well, so they can make the bridge dirtier or cleaner as required. But we try to, again, dial the look depth to work for the majority of the shots with the composite doesn't have to do double lifting at the end. So here we are with the sort of 80% completion of book development. As we move through all the different angles, you can see it's quite a bit of detail in the bridge that was added down to the rivets and the dirt. So after we've got the textures and the model built out, we basically go through a check where we have the plates on the right and the renders on the left, and just do a visual inspection. So here's our CG hold out from this distance. But by that time, we felt more confident and moved on. So once the bridge is built, the next question is, what else do we have to build out in CG? The hope was that we could utilize a lot of plates, mapping, and projections to the auxiliary buildings around. First step was to try to figure out which ones we were going to spend the time and resources to build out. So we acquired some model of the area that was actually generated from some satellite photography we used that just to block out our environment, and then we set up a bunch of cameras and flew around and decided, oh, there's a lot of camera movement in this area, and this is going to break up when that painting is stopped. So once we identify the buildings we want to build out, we go through the same process that happened. And this is the initial concept. Notice that the different elements, the fusion of the elementals, this is meant to be a combination of the earlier elementals from the film. So there's fire, air, water, and earth. They're very segmented and separate here. So that was the concept, the idea at the time. To help kind of visualize that, we just rapidly prototyped inside of ZBrush, where we just generate a model. We want to make sure to kind of have an idea of the model before we go ahead and build it correctly and pose it and rate it. So we just go through that stage where we prototype it. Take a plate with a high res, put the ZBrush in there, make sure we can lock down the scale of the character. And that also helps with the early effects that we're doing at the time, so we know what size to make our scenes and things like that. Let's talk a little bit about the water tentacles, since we began developing that pretty early. So we're always looking for, even with a supernatural creature, we're always looking for reference, tying to something that's real. With the fire tornadoes and other areas, but there was the dust devils that really settled in for us as a choice, just because it really feels like it's a moving volume of substance. And part of the story is that the elemental draws the elements from Earth and powers itself. So it's important to get the sense that it was drawing water from the river and powering itself. So these are our early tests of our water tentacles. It was definitely a challenge. Very large simulations take a lot of this space, and a challenge to get to render. But you can see here we made some progress, getting the right water volume to sort of register and getting some sense of trimming. And then once we feel confident with that, we start layering the white water and splashing. And then we can start adding a little more fancy elements like fire and letting into that. So that was generally how we started to develop the water tentacles. Of course, those tentacles need to also interact with the river surface. So again, we're looking at reference for a typhoon there to help us drive what that looks like. And those tentacles that we generate need to interact with the river. And of course, you can't have a volume sim, a fluid sim that's that large with all that data. It's just too much. So you have to take shortcuts and just find ways to modify the sim from the river, which influences from the water tentacles. So just an example of how these work. Once you get enough interaction on the river surface and then put your other element on top of it, it blends just fine. It doesn't need to be the same volume sim actually for the sim. Okay, so moving back to concept. Having a pretty good water tentacle and ZBrush model, we take those elements and we hand them off to a concept painter. Dan Cox at the time got started on that. We take a plate, we take our water tentacles that we rendered out, paints on top of it, emphasizes some more foiling to give our effects artist something else to match to. Finds it, takes the tray render, and some textures on there, painting it. Also adding fire, layering in volcanic smoke, putting up some atmospheric lighting, adding lightning, and then we end up with the concept.
Ha poi parlato anche della scena in cui Spider-Man si trova all'interno del mondo illusorio e di come hanno creato questo ambiente e di come anche in questo caso abbiano fatto lo scan di Tom Holland per sostituire completamente in digitale l'attore in alcune scene, oppure anche solo per mascherare le zip e le cuciture in tutto il resto delle scene. Una chicca è stata quella in cui ha detto che le inquadrature in cui Spider-Man ha la tutina bruciata è tutta digitale, quindi applauso,
Pratico,
solo applauso.
comodo come cosa.
E quindi anche comunque realizzare Spider-Man ha richiesto non solo la motion capture ma anche poi l'editing dell'animazione catturata, aggiustando tutti i vari keyframe. E cosa interessante che ha spiegato è come per alcune scene partivano semplicemente da capire il movimento che avrebbe avuto Spider-Man semplicemente approssimandolo ad una sfera. Quindi ha proprio mostrato come in certe scene sono passati dal far pendolare una palla e poi sostituire la palla con Spider-Man.
Comunque la fisica è la fisica, che si tratti di Spider-Man o di una sfera.
Plus we got the model textures done when we did the hook development stage on Spider-Man. So we got the plate on the left and this teaching on the right. In the middle you see some examples of the fabric switches that we can do as well. And those are used to generate some procedural thread patterns that we have in the suit. We actually were able to repurpose some of the old acquisition motion capture from the first film This is just Tom Holland's mocap of him doing some tests early on, but we put in a new model and used that as a test bed to look at the muscle deformations and cloth simulations. It's worth noting that the suit is always an idealized version of the practical suit. The real suit that the actors wear, they have seams, they have zippers, they have access points that are unfavorable, not desired for the real CG suit when you build it. So there's a whole stage of going through and sort of cleaning up the practical suit, removing the seams, maybe the ears protruding too much, so we'll always pull the ears back a little bit. Things like that are different from the real suit. But overall, the goal is pretty simple, match the practical suit. But when we keyframe, we often rely on simulations of gravity simulations. So we have a car gravity ball set. But basically, we can drop these balls and attach them to it. So in this particular case, it's 3 moments where we're doing 3 different simulations. He's jumping down, and then he transitions to the first web, and then he transitions to the second web. So here's a shot, seen in fruition there. But that's a keyframe animation, and it's driven off of that motion off of the graphic center. So moving on to mocap that didn't quite work. So here's a shot there where Spider-Man jumps up onto the roof. As originally previous, and motion captured it. Tom stuck the landing and does a fancy flip away. We had it captured, it looked pretty cool. The day that's what was intended. Later on, the story changed, and we did have Spider-Man actually land and stumble. So, we took the first pass looking at reference. It was late in production. We didn't have time to scour YouTube for much longer, so we quickly abandoned that because we couldn't find the right actor or person performance online. So then we used what we call our Connect system. It's essentially a small room. We have a lookout set up there cameras as well, but it's a little less encumbering to use this system because the animator can just jump into their room with no one else there for himself, turn on the machine, and do a bunch of acting and scan himself. So this is actually a collection of 2 animators. Someone's jumping on the chair, there's one person pulling the rope, trying to get him to stumble. They take those models and they throw them into the scene. Unfortunately, just like mocap, your performance is only as good as your actor. And sometimes when it's a physical act like this, the last person we want doing this is a 40, 50-year-old guy who spends his time animating. Jumping off the chair and trying to bend down because it's not that safe and we're not that limber. As you can see, the performance is too stiff. So we tried with a couple of the animators, we went through 4 animators, and it wasn't working. So we were debating if I motion capture something again. Again, this is the kind of thing that needs to get done, but basically in 4 days we can animate the shot, so there's not much time to go on. I happened to be down that day, later that week in Vancouver for reviews, and I'm like, I'll get the shot. So I jumped up on the chair and jumped down about 40 times. Eventually I stumbled and I fell. The animation supervisor felt happy with. So we ended up using that. You can see our hand jumping off the chair, and they're just matching that motion. So this is my big moment. Next up, mocap. So here we have a scene at the end of the sequence where Spider-Man's running through the hallway back and making drones. It's a very complex shot to choreograph. We weren't really sure exactly what we're going to use or do, but in the day that we shot mocap, we try to break it up into segments. It's hard to mocap such a long shot in one take. It's too much for the actor to remember. It's too dangerous too. So what we do is we just take each little action and we just try to capture it in one spot. Then we splice it together and create something like this. So this is the first pass of basically just taking that mocap and splicing it together. You can see there's pretty rough transitions in there, but that's okay at this stage because it's still pretty much blocky pass. But you can see how we're using those motion clips. This is a cleanup version of that mocap. So it's got a lot of keyframe animation on there to get those to splice together appropriately. But the problem with the mocap, of course, is that performance isn't a superhero. Performance is a stunt double all the time. And they're pretty good, but they're not Spider-Man. So once we got this stage, Don's like, you gotta imbue this with more speed, more agility, more ability there. So we go through and then we basically take speed up, take movements and combine attacks and kick and punch into one motion. So, at the end of the day, the shot is probably 15% mocap and the rest is keyframe. But it is an iterative process, and it wouldn't really be possible to do this shot at this level without using the mocap to begin with. We're almost out of time, but I'll just quickly go through a really fast recap of some of the shot builds. In the walkway, there's shots where back is there, and we have to replace the background and add additional characters and helmet. So there's an example of the plate and the CG. This is a shoot that they did 2 times, and they reshoots them in the walkway. And our original build for the walkway was done from principal photography. As a result, the backgrounds didn't line up. We didn't have time to build a new walkway to match the reshoot, so we just replaced it entirely. So in that case, basically, we have our plate, we do our rotor because we need to extract them off of it, and we need to do the space for the helmet. We paint out the markers, we match it with the set, we evaluate the character, because we have the helmet, we lay it out with the helmet in there, animate the characters, do the lighting, replace the background, and do the front cover. So that gives you an idea of what goes into those typical shots.
Benissimo, e torniamo nel mondo dell'umano digitale con Trent Claus di Lola VFX, che ci ha portato i casi più interessanti di invecchiamento digitale nel mondo Marvel e non solo.
Sì, perché Trent Claus fa parte dello studio Lola, che è partito a fare ringiovanimento e invecchiamento di umani con Benjamin Button, per cui hanno vinto un Oscar.
E a Lola, a differenza di Weta Digital, con Guy Williams che ha spiegato che usavano un modello tridimensionale da applicare sopra il fotogramma, Trent Claus e il suo team invece hanno utilizzato il painting, quindi andare a ritoccare e ridisegnare le facce degli attori, pittura che poi viene in parte traccata e sistemata dal software, che però ha bisogno comunque di aggiustamenti continui, quindi un lavoro veramente immenso, un lavoro veramente incredibile per andare a invecchiare e ringiovanire molti attori. La cosa veramente incredibile è che per fare questo si sono basati su veramente tanta biologia, sullo studio di come invecchiano proprio anche le ossa, di come si modifica il cranio nel corso degli anni, di come si modifica la pelle, il collo, le proporzioni del viso. Insomma, c'è uno studio veramente tanto approfondito dietro prima di approcciarsi anche solo a come rendere più vecchia o più giovane una persona, per poi arrivare a mettersi lì proprio col timbroclone fondamentalmente a risistemare le varie parti dei visi per realizzare questo effetto pazzesco.
E la cosa che ho trovato davvero incredibile è che non solo facciano un lavoro davvero dettagliato, ma come riescano comunque a mantenere la consistenza attraverso diversi shot, perché non sono effetti che si limitano magari ad una sola scena, ma in certi casi vengono portati anche avanti per diverse scene. E un altro aspetto che ho trovato davvero molto interessante è come nel caso dell'invecchiamento di Capitan America, che quindi non avevano reference precise perché non è ancora vecchio, banalmente l'attore. Quindi hanno dovuto un po' inventarsi come invecchierà, e in questo inventarsi come invecchierà hanno comunque voluto dare un'aura sempre comunque eroica al personaggio, che riuscisse a creare empatia con il pubblico e che non facesse scattare l'ingranaggio della pietà perché oh povero vecchino. No, volevano comunque mantenere la fierezza che ha il personaggio di Capitan America.
Anche a 120 anni, perché
esatto.
Teoricamente in quella scena lui ha 120 anni, quindi li regge molto bene, c'è da dirlo. E poi è incredibile come riescano a tenere insieme tutto, quindi l'illuminazione, l'espressività del viso, la forma del viso, la tridimensionalità. Insomma, è veramente incredibile come con un lavoro fondamentalmente bidimensionale riescano a rendere il tutto così perfetto. Anche è vero che ovviamente partono da moltissime reference di attori di controfigure che realizzano gli stessi movimenti in modo da tenere comunque traccia di come la pelle si può deformare. Sta di fatto che comunque, per esempio appunto, l'invecchiamento di Capitan America è incredibile perché non viene solo realizzato il viso ma anche la parte del collo, le spalle, che comunque vengono aiutati per esempio appunto per il collo da alcune protesi che vengono messe dalla parte di trucco del film.
E poi anche altro grande progetto che ha nominato è stato ovviamente il ringiovanimento di Nick Fury in Captain Marvel.
Sì, perché se l'invecchiamento di Capitan America in 5 minuti alla fine di Avengers Endgame sembra una roba grande, il ringiovanimento di Nick Fury per 2 ore di film, diciamo che ha un impatto molto più grande sull'intero film, dove infatti sono andati non solo a ritoccare la faccia, ma a volte anche a sostituire completamente tutta la persona, con anche rimozioni parziali di sfondo, e il tutto mischiato ovviamente poi con gli effetti speciali. Incredibili le scene dove si vede Nick Fury a figura intera, dove appunto non solo è stato modificato il viso, ma addirittura l'intero corpo è stato dimagrito e reso giovane e fiero.
Sì, perché ovviamente anche la postura quando si invecchia si modifica, perché si tende ad inarcarsi e ad abbassarsi, quindi è proprio davvero un lavoro molto sopraffino.
E che è incredibile, ma fondamentalmente non si vede, è veramente sottilissimo. Secondo me non è ai livelli appunto di Will Smith in Gemini Man, perché lì è veramente perfetto. Ovviamente in questo il modello 3D aiuta moltissimo, però il fatto di pensare che Nick Fury in Capitan Marvel sia fatto bidimensionalmente è veramente qualcosa di mind blowing, cioè ti fa rimanere a bocca aperta. Quindi a questa view è stato bello poter vedere 2 facce della stessa medaglia, di come si può affrontare lo stesso problema in 2 modi, diciamo, completamente opposti.
When Lola started de-aging, they began in 2006 with the de-aging of Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen from X-Men 3. I wasn't involved in this personally, it was just before my time with the company, but it was their first step into digital age manipulation. When I started, aside from my regular duties of matte painting and roto and things like that, I really wanted to explore what they had done here further and see if we could take it in other directions and take it farther. But it was around then when I started really studying the aging processes and human anatomy, particularly of the face. We worked with plastic surgeons. We're lucky enough to be right next to UCLA, Santa Monica, and LA. So we talked with plastic surgeons about what they do to the human face, and that was very helpful in the beginning. But they are of course limited to realities of working on a real human face. You know, there's things that we can do that they could never do. Learning their processes was helpful to a point. It was really more about learning the underlying structures, the musculature, and why things happen, why age changes us. I put all of this research to use really for the first time when we worked on Benjamin Button in 2008. In this film, which was just a perfect showcase for what we had been working on, Old Man Brad in the beginning was done by not us, it's by DD, where they did a head replacement. But everyone else in the film, the other actors at the beginning of the film needed to be reduced in age, younger than they actually are. And then by the end of the film, Brad had to be made younger, and all the other characters had to be made older. To accomplish that amount of de-aging, you're really affecting so many different things on the face, not just wrinkle removal and removing double chins and things like that, but also adjusting facial proportion and distribution of baby fat and how the different elements of the face relate to one another, and there's so many things going on. Sometimes when you shift someone's age to that extent, you're also adjusting body, so posture and build, things like that. Something we did to a great extent on the first Captain America. This isn't strictly de-aging, it's not supposed to be particularly younger, but he was supposed to be reduced in mass a great deal, and we used a lot of the same techniques to adjust the proportions of his face, to remove all of that mass, and then of course on his body as well. We couldn't just shrink Chris, because at this time he was, giant muscle Chris, and to just shrink him, you end up with smaller muscle Chris, which isn't what you want. So it's shrinking in size, but also completely changing all of the musculature. Everything about him has to get changed. All of his anatomy, facial proportions, posture, even the way the fabric clings to his skin. When he's big muscle Chris, it's usually tighter, and you see stress wrinkles and things like that. When he's younger, you have to make it more billowy and saggy and hangs off of him more. You have to create distance between the sleeves and the arms, paint in shadows, all that sort of thing. Here we were making the actress Haley Atwell appear roughly 70 years older than she actually is. It took a tremendous amount of look dev trying to find the right look for old Peggy, because the scene had a lot of emotion in it, and you want the design of her face to amplify that emotion, because everything we do ultimately has to be at service of the performance of the actors within. We never want to distract from what's going on. The audience is supposed to be paying attention to the story and the character, not the effects. In fact, they should hopefully not know that there's an effect at all, especially if it's an unknown actor. Hopefully they are completely unaware it's invisible. So after years of compositing on these projects, Ant-Man was the first de-aging project that I supervised. In this one, we de-aged Hank Pym by 28 years. That's played by Michael Douglas. I did a lot of research into his films from that era, mostly Wall Street. That was kind of the ideal age we were going for. In this film, we hired a younger double to be on set and shoot at the same time as Michael Douglas. So Mr. Douglas would shoot his scenes, and then the younger double would step in and try and mimic what Mr. Douglas had done as close as he can. And after that, we would then have the double come shoot in our light rig, where we can catch not only more detail and more textures, but be 100% accurate on angles and things like that, expression and timing. The thing you see on the screen, though, is always Michael. So even though we're using the younger doubles as both a reference and occasionally as an element for like trouble areas, the thing we're manipulating and that the audience actually sees on screen is Michael. And that's really the most important thing about what we do, is that we're delivering the actor's performance to the audience exactly as they shot it on set, just younger. You'll notice, for example, the creases here along the superciliary ridge of Michael Douglas we kept. Those are examples of things that most people would want to remove just because they indicate age. But he had those when he was younger, and it's really important to keep those defined characteristics about someone. As soon as you start removing defining characteristics like that, just to cheat a couple more years of youth, that's when they start to look weird. So it's really important that we stick to reality as much as possible. All of our skills and research in all of these projects was then put to use here in Captain Marvel, which came out this year. Because this was our first feature-length de-aging of a major character. He's one of the two lead characters in film, and he had to be roughly 25 years younger than he actually is. So it's one thing to do a handful of shots. It's another thing to have consistency across an entire film. So on Sam, there's not only a tremendous amount of face work that we did, but also similar to Skinny Steve from Captain America, there's body work that had to be done to adjust his build and his posture. Most men, as we get older, start to hunch more and more, and you want someone to appear youthful, so you have to adjust how he's sitting and standing and things like that. One thing with Sam is that because this was feature length, the idea of shooting a double on set would have been time and cost prohibitive. We love getting that reference, but shooting every shot twice was just not on the cards for an entire movie. So we really had to do some testing to make sure that we could accomplish it with no outside elements whatsoever. Each plate is generally tracked in 3D, but the de-aging, as I've said, is 100% always done in color. For the entire length of the film, there were no CG assets used and no double elements, so it's all Sam all the time. Sam has aged very well and has very few wrinkles and things. So it's really more about finding the right proportions and readjusting fat distribution and all those sorts of things, rather than simply wrinkle removal. There is a little bit of wrinkle removal, but depending on the shot, like these close-up shots, it's really like a full face rebuild, where you're not only affecting surface texture and the way the light reacts to the skin, but also proportion and for example, the distance between your upper lip and your nose gets longer as you age. That has to be reduced. Your lips tend to get thinner as you age. Those have to get larger. The distance between your lower lip and your chin gets longer. That has to get reduced. And all of these things have to be done together and with a keen eye on reference, because people can start to look real weird real quick if you start changing things. We had one of our 3 big milestones this year. So doing Sam for the entire feature length of the film was one. Michael Douglas here was another, because in this scene in Endgame, we were reducing him by 45 years. So that's the most we've ever de-aged an actor. We were taking him back to how he looked in The Streets of San Francisco, which was a TV series that he was on. And here, even though, once again, the work was entirely done in 2D and comp, we had to utilize more of the elements from the double than we normally do, because it was essentially a full face rebuild. And then our 3rd milestone was the largest age increase that we've ever done. And that was for old Captain America here. He was supposed to be roughly 120 years old here. Of course, he's Captain America, so he ages a little differently. In reality, he should be equivalent to like someone in their 90s is what we were kind of working off of. So once again, on set, we had a double, in this case an older double. The gentleman's name is Patrick Corman, who's there. And I would direct him on set to make sure that we get the angles and things that we need. He was a great guy to work with. He came to me one time on set and kind of quietly pulled me aside and he said, I get it. I know that I'm here because I'm old. And I'm wearing old man clothes and I have wrinkles on my face. I totally get why I'm here, and that's great, but I'm a little embarrassed that I own this exact same jacket. Which I thought was hilarious. We shot Chris on set with dots on his face, of course, but then also we utilized some prosthetics here. So we worked with legacy effects to create these. We had learned on Old Peggy, back on Winter Soldier, that we spent a tremendous amount of time working on the neck. There's a lot of textures that need to get added, and there's a lot of animation that has to be done, because you're manipulating the way the skin moves as you talk, and the way the throat moves under the skin, because you can't simply have a static neck. It looks really weird, because you should be able to see slight movement as she talks and swallows and things like that. And it just took so much effort that we lost important time that we should have been spending on her face. So for this one, we wanted to build a prosthetic that could at least take us 75% of the way there, which is what we did, and it turned out great. They also built a prosthetic that fit across his forehead and around his crow's feet. That was our attempt at the time to get as close as we could to where we thought his look was going to go. As I mentioned before, with age manipulation, especially aging, it's a very subjective thing, and the look-dev process can sometimes be extremely long. So when we built the prosthetics for his face, they were our best guess, but the look-dev wasn't done yet. In fact, it didn't finish until many months after principal photography had finished. So by the time we ended on a hero look, the things that we had built and attached to his face no longer worked. So we had to completely remove them digitally and just smooth the areas over, which isn't ideal. And the neck was about 75% of what we needed. We added some extra wrinkles and age spots and then some extra animation. Sometimes the latex appliance can be stiff, so you want to add a little more movement and things like that. As you can see, there was also adjustments to mass, like we did but way back on Skinny Steve. That was great. It was a fun thing to do, having been a part of the beginning of Captain America and the end of Captain America. Having those bookends was rewarding. The textures and things that you see being added to his face here are a mixture of stuff we got from Patrick, and then also things that are created by the compositor and the matte painters. So they're painted in 2D patches that then get tracked on, but then animated. Because the movements have to match what he's doing, and they have to match the lighting changes and things that are dictated by the shot. So even just subtle movements of his head when he looks down and looks up can have dramatic effects on the lighting of that particular area of the face. All of that has to get animated by hand. With Old Piggy, we had really found that look dev process was intensely difficult. And in fact, on Old Piggy, we had a hero look change about 2 weeks before final delivery. So we essentially recreated every shot from scratch in 2 weeks on that project, which is not ideal, and we never wanted to do that again. With Old Cap, we had the luxury that we shot this during filming for Infinity War, so we had a very long time before our deadline for Endgame would come up. The look dev on a still frame for Old Cap took over 6 months to get final approval on what he would look like. And that's because not only are you looking for a reality, it has to look like what you think an old Chris would look like, but it also has to amplify the characteristics of Captain America. You want him to be heroic, and you want him to be sympathetic and approachable, but you never want him to appear sad or someone you should pity or something like that. You don't want the audience to think, oh, poor Cap. You want them to just accept that this is the choice he made and this is how he ended up. And those are very subtle changes that you make to accomplish those things. Like the arc of the lines in his forehead. Slightly reducing that arc can suddenly make him look like a grumpy old man. So making sure things work on still then is important to find that hero look, but then making sure that those things can translate to animated moving footage is another big hurdle that we have to cross. So it's been a very exciting journey so far, going from the Aliens commercial to Nick Fury for de-aging, and going from the Orphan to Old Cap for aging. But I feel like we've introduced this new artistic tool for filmmakers to make use of and find new ways to tell their stories. And in the end, that's all we are. It's just a tool by which we can help accomplish the vision of the filmmakers. I'm a firm believer in invisible effects. That's almost the entirety of my career has been built on doing things invisibly so that hopefully the audience doesn't know. They're not showy things, they're not flashy things, they're things that fit in and help tell the story. And I'm excited to see what we get to play with next.
E restando sulla stessa linea, ovvero Capitan Marvel, arriviamo al prossimo protagonista di View, che è Janelle Croshaw Ralla. Non penso sia pronunciato giusto mai, ma tant'è.
Sì, perché lei è il supervisore agli effetti speciali appunto su Captain Marvel.
Anche lei ha lavorato al curioso caso di Benjamin Button, e però prima di questo ha lavorato su progetti anche molto lontani da quello che è il mondo supereroistico. In particolare è interessante vedere come ha lavorato su molti dei progetti del regista Spike Jonze, come per esempio il Welcome Home per pubblicizzare l'Apple Home, ma anche il commercial di Kenzo e anche Hair, il film del 2013 sempre di Spike Jonze. Nel suo talk su Capitan Marvel fa vedere un po' cosa vuol dire essere un supervisore agli effetti speciali generali indipendentemente dagli studi di produzione, e quindi di come si fa a tenere quello che è un look generale omogeneo su tutto il film.
E visto che siamo riusciti a intervistarla, porteremo poi un episodio tutto dedicato a lei prossimamente.
Presto, molto presto.
Prestissimo.
Infine, questo episodio si chiude con Rob Legato, un'altra leggenda del mondo degli effetti speciali. Rob Legato è infatti nell'industria degli effetti speciali da moltissimi anni, fin da Apollo 13, e ha realizzato alcuni degli effetti speciali più stupefacenti della storia del cinema, come appunto Apollo 13, Titanic, Armageddon, il primo Harry Potter, Avatar, Hugo Cabret, Jungle Book, e quest'anno ha presentato il nuovo The Lion King. E tra questi ci sono passati 3 Oscar e 2 Ves per Titanic, Hugo Cabret e The Jungle Book. Così, giusto per...
AVU ha portato un talk molto interessante, tutto incentrato su The Lion King, in cui ha fatto vedere come abbiano mischiato le tecnologie con, diciamo, un modo di fare cinema più tradizionale, quindi come abbiano permesso di realizzare movimenti di camera e di macchina come su un set reale, però tutto in realtà virtuale.
Già, davvero molto interessante, ma anche per quanto riguarda Rob Legato approfondiremo tutto in un episodio a lui dedicato con l'intervista annessa.
Annessa in che senso?
Nel senso che l'abbiamo fatta, quindi Benissimo. Detto questo, anche questa seconda parte del recap della View Conference è finito, giusto?
Sì.
Sì, non ho sbagliato, perfetto. Dopo questo episodio avremo ancora una terza parte che è un po' più generica su quello che è il mondo del cinema, e quindi, detto questo, noi vi invitiamo ad iscrivervi e ad attivare la campanella per sapere quando uscirà questa terza parte e quando usciranno le interviste dei protagonisti della View Conference. Vi invitiamo a dirci la vostra nei commenti su YouTube o su Twitter, e noi ci sentiremo. E in realtà dovremmo dire ci sentiremo.
Sì, dovresti dire sempre ci sentiremo, ma
Senti,
dici
stai
sempre
calma.
ci rivedremo.
E vabbè, c'ho
Non so
abitudini
perché,
strane.
è un podcast, ma tu dici ci rivedremo.
E ci rivedremo perché sai, io arrivo da YouTube, sono un influencer, allora. Quindi,
Sì.
noi ci sentiremo in un prossimo episodio su Funzione Animazione.
E niente.
E niente. Finisce sempre così.
Tutto sfatto.
E vabbè, niente. Ciao!
Alla prossima, ciao a tutti.
Ciao!
Ciao ciao.
Ciao! Quanti ciao, basta!